It's FYF Sports, man. It's Lamont back with another podcast episode, man. And y'all know what it is today, man. Y'all see the title of the video. And this video is going to be a little different because, before in the past when I did my NBA film study videos, I really kind of broke down a lot of segments in multiple games, just to kind of give you guys an indication of my perspective on some of these teams, whether I think some of the issues that I see will linger on throughout the season, whether they're just short-term deficiencies, maybe due to injuries and things of that nature. But today is going to be a little different the way I break this film down. It's going to be very short. It's going to be a very short film breakdown, but then I also want to go to some segments where we can listen to a few players talk about how fans and about people not a part of the NBA discuss or protrude their information or knowledge of the game of basketball to us online. But before we get started today, make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell to the video if you haven't done so already. We are grinding. 20K is right around the corner, so we're going to continue to grow. All right, we're going to continue to grow this platform. And that's not just on me. That's an appreciation to you guys for liking, commenting, sharing all the videos, and engaging in all the content. So salute to you guys for helping this platform get to where it is today. But again, today we're going to be talking about the Golden State Warriors and Toronto Raptor game. Now, if you guys didn't watch that game, it was actually a game that just kind of went down wire to wire. And as I said before, normally when we do our film study, we break down the entire game. We probably go through multiple segments in the first, second, third, and fourth quarter. Actually, today, we're just going to be breaking down one single play. One single play at the end of the game that really helps me get a good understanding of the direction of the Golden State Warriors, and one of the reasons why I even more so stand on my prediction now that the Golden State Warriors will make the playoffs at the lowest at a 7 seed, but probably between 4 to 7 seed if they continue to play the way they're playing now, and if they are fortunate enough to carry on throughout the season without any major injuries to their star players. Now, I'll kind of give you a quick summary of the game. This game was a little bit different for the Warriors because for the last couple of games, Steph Curry has been really carrying the scoring load for this team. But today was the first game where it was an extremely balanced attack, and that was primarily due to Steph Curry struggling from the field. And as I said in my last video, the Warriors will not be able to rely on Steph to have these miraculous performances every single game. Other guys will have to step up. They'll have to find a way to win ugly games to compete in the playoffs. And today was definitely one of those games. And just for the team overall, it wasn't a very good shooting game. Now, for Draymond Green, it was a bit better. He shot 2 of 5 from the three-point line, which is much better than what he's been shooting. 3 of 8 from the field, 10 points. Andrew Wiggins, 7 of 17 from the field, 3 of 10 from the three-point line, 17 points. He was the leading scorer for the Golden State Warriors. James Wiseman, 5 of 7, very efficient on 10 points in 17 minutes. And now Steph Curry, 2 of 16 from the field, 1 of 10 from the three-point line. Fred VanVleet, for whatever reason, always gives him troubles. He just kind of knows how to, take away what Steph does best. And Steph struggled. Steph definitely struggled. Kelly Oubre, 5 of 14 on the night, 1 of 6 from the three-point line, 12 points. Eric Pascal was one of the brightest spots for this team today. 5 of 10 from the field, 15 points off the bench. And then you got Damian Lee, 4 of 7 from the field, 3 of 6 from the three-point line, 13 points. And if you look at that, nobody scored over 20 points. Right, but you got all 5 starters in double digits. You got two guys off the bench in double digits, and that doesn't even include Kent Bazemore, who scored 9 on 4 of 7 shooting. And then you also have Brad Wanamaker in 13 minutes. He has 7 on 2 of 5 shooting. When you talk about a team, this is what you want to see from your team. When Steph Curry is not making shots, even though he's the greatest shooter that we've ever seen. All right, we know that teams are going to target him. And they're going to say, I want you other guys to beat us. You other guys are going to have to make shots if you guys want to win this game. And the Golden State Warriors did what they were supposed to do. Right? They saw that their superstar was struggling. He saw that they were sending them off double teams. They were being extremely physical with them, and that's one of the things that the Raptors are famous for. The Raptors will grab you, they will foul you, they will bump you off cuts, and they will push the limit. They will really make the ref make those calls. All right, and you know, their center actually ended up fouling out on a Steph Curry foul, but they will really push the limit on a lot of these foul calls, and that's what they were doing with Steph Curry tonight. Now, a lot of teams don't have the depth, and they're not fortunate enough to really chase Steph Curry around all night and be that physical, but the Raptors are, and that's what they did a great job of tonight. But overall, the Warriors shot the ball 40% from the field, but 28% from the three-point line. Now, I'll let you know that this was a game that came down to the wire. This was a game that shouldn't have came down to the wire, but the Warriors were up this game. They were up, I think, by almost 20 points, and they just had a horrible shooting fourth quarter, and they allowed Toronto back into this game. Toronto took a late lead. All right, leads were exchanged. Damian Lee made 2 clutch free throws after getting fouled with 4 seconds on the clock, and it came down to one final possession. This game came down to one final possession. In this one final possession, again, it definitely told me that this Golden State Warrior team, they are definitely, at least defensively, they are light years ahead of a lot of teams in the NBA because of one player, and that's Draymond Green, and how everybody on the court is receptive to him. And this is what I mean when I was really critical of the Clippers, when I talked about in really critical moments when the Warriors played the Clippers the other night, how we saw Kawhi Leonard and Paul George not being able to communicate, not being able to really galvanize that team defensively, not being able to talk certain players through tricky pick and roll situations, right? When you don't have that guy behind the action, just kind of being the general of your defense, then it's going to lead to confusion, especially when you're playing elite level offensive teams. Again, the Clippers are going to be able to skate by and beat sub to below average teams, all right, just with sheer talent. But when you're talking about playing the upper echelon, some of the elite scorers of this league, they're going to struggle big time. And it showed, that even showed tonight with the Chicago Bulls. They allowed the Chicago Bulls to put up 127 points, I think. You know, something outrageous. So that just, even though they got the win, they just outscored the Bulls, dropping, I think, almost 130 points. So that just tells you right there the value of defense. What I'm doing, we're going to go to the drawing board really quick, and I'm going to walk you through the very final play of the game. All right? And I'm going to show you an aspect of this final play that nobody else will be able to break down for you. Nobody else will be able to point this out for you. No one else, you know, because at the end of the day, when the two final players that we saw in that last play of the game, we saw Andrew Wiggins, we saw Pascal Siakam with the ball, and we saw Andrew Wiggins make a great contest on the shot, all right, to force the miss, and the Golden State Warriors win off that missed shot. All right, now I'm going to show you a sequence of events that led up to that particular situation. And this is going to explain why Draymond Green is one of the most elite defenders in the NBA, and why he's deserving. And this is one of the reasons why I feel his defense alone is going to get him into the Hall of Fame. And a lot of people will disagree with me, but if you're a basketball mind and you understand the game of basketball, this play right here will beautifully break down how valuable he is. And this is one of the main reasons why Damian Lillard was pushing for a trade to have Draymond Green come to the Portland Trail Blazers. I mean, there are teams around the NBA itching for the Golden State Warriors to give up on Draymond, for whatever reason, because he doesn't score a lot of points and trade him. All right, there are a lot of teams itching to have a guy like this to anchor the defense. I don't think the Golden State Warriors are that stupid. They're not going to let this guy go. They're not going to let this guy go unless they're doing a complete rebuild, and they're looking to get rid of everybody, including Steph Curry. But let's go ahead and get to the drawing board to break down the final play of the game. All right, so we had this final play of the game. Now I want you guys to see the setup right here. I want you guys to see the initial setup. Right, we have the bailout option. We have the bailout option here, which is Pascal Siakam beyond the half court line. All right. This right here is a very poorly drawn up after timeout, side out of bounds play. Because one, you're showing all your cards. All right, when you're putting Pascal Siakam in the backcourt, I mean, I can understand that you want him back here as the bailout for the bailout pass and the spacing for whatever actions you're trying to run. But it made it much easier for a guy like Draymond Green to kind of survey and get a really, really good understanding of what you're trying to do. We know that he watches a lot of film. And this looks like a play that Toronto may have ran before. I mean, you got to understand that Toronto Raptors just 2 years ago played the Golden State Warriors in the NBA Finals. They have the same coaching staff. So I don't think, I don't think Nick Nurse has changed up that much. He's going to, normally coaches in these clutch situations, they don't draw up new plays. They go to plays that have worked for them in the past. All right. And if you study the game, if you research what Draymond Green does, research purposes only, he does his NBA film study, then you're able to pick up on this action. Now, the most important thing in basketball is even if you pick up on the action, the best thing you can do on the defensive end of the court is communicate to everyone what's going on. Remember what I said in my last video. This is what the Los Angeles Clippers fail to do time and time again. All right. And as we watch this sequence right here, all right, they were forced to throw the pass to the bailout option. Pascal Siakam was not the first option on this play. He was the last option to make sure that they at least got a shot off. All right. And the ball was forced to go to Pascal Siakam, which is what the Golden State Warriors were going to allow. All right. Andrew Wiggins was not going to press up on Siakam beyond half court. He's not going to do that. He played it smart. He played behind the half court line. But I want to show you what led up to this sequence, all right, which is most important. All right, and we see Wiggins, great D. At the end of this play, by looking at this play right here, a lot of us would want to congratulate Wiggins. I mean, and Wiggins did a great job on Pascal Siakam, one of the better players in this league. Wiggins did a great job moving his feet, staying in front of him, and then contesting without fouling. So you have to give credit to Andrew Wiggins for a great stop on the ball. All right, but who else do we need to give credit to for really blowing up this after timeout side out of bounds play by Nick Nurse and the Raptors? All right, we're going to dig deeper. We're going to dig deeper, and we're going to go into it. So we're going to rewind that back. We got to run it back. All right, we got to run it back. Now, we have Andrew Wiggins standing near the half-court line with Pascal Siakam right behind him. We have Norman Powell, and we have Draymond Green right here at the top of the key, right? Now, we're going to watch Draymond Green's actions. We're going to watch Draymond Green's actions prior to the ball being inbounded, all right? What is Draymond Green doing now? What Draymond Green is doing now is Draymond Green is signaling to Looney that Powell might cut to the corner. Because Powell at the top of the key, he has two options. He can cut to the corner, all right? Probably using a rub screen to get open, all right? Or he could potentially go screen for Fred VanVleet. All right. And all of these misdirections and screens usually are to create confusion for the defense. And when the defense makes mistakes on these screens, like what we see the Clippers do all the time, making mistakes on guarding the screens because they don't communicate, that's where you get these wide open shots on the last second. So we have Draymond Green first communicating to Looney that Powell might cut to the corner. All right. Powell understands that Draymond Green has read what he's going to do. All right. So he's telling Looney what's going on. Now, what Powell is doing is Powell is jokingly faking toward the corner to potentially throw Draymond Green off. What Norman Powell doesn't realize is that he's dealing with one of the most elite basketball minds, especially on the defensive end of the court in the game right now. Ain't nobody going for all that, Norman Powell. You got to do a little bit better than that. But let's continue to at least explain to you guys what Draymond Green did to help blow this play up. All right. Now, as the play develops, Draymond is now, what is he doing, y'all? he's communicating. If you watch Draymond, he's communicating to Oubre that Van Vliet is going to set a back screen, then cut off OG to the corner. All right. Draymond Green is now communicating. So the only way Draymond can communicate any of this is if he studies the game. This is why I say, and at the NBA level, there's absolutely no way you can be great defensively without watching film. Players are just too good. Coaches are just too smart. They're drawing up intricate plays that even the best defenders can't stop if you're getting hit with screens and you're getting hit with pin downs and everything in the world is coming at you. The only way you can really bust up plays in the NBA is if you have players on the court who study the game. All right, when we look at LeBron James, his IQ of the game is extremely undervalued, especially by just your standard everyday fan. And the same with Draymond Green. A lot of people will say, oh, he doesn't score nothing but 4 or 5 points a game. He's a bum. But they won't tell you about how elite he is on the defensive end of the court, because everything that Draymond Green is doing right now, there's no stat for it. All right, there's no accolade for it. It's ugly. You really get no credit for it. And the only people that actually appreciate it are the coaches on the sideline. And the coaches on the sideline usually aren't in front of the cameras every day to boast about how well you played defensively off ball to elevate this team. All right, but FYF Sports, we're here to bust all of the misnomers up. All right, so Draymond Green is telling Oubre that Van Vliet is going to set a back screen, then cut off OG to the corner. And Draymond Green is communicating this. So Draymond Green has already communicated with two players, Kelly Oubre and Kevin Looney. All right. On the last play of the game, it's vital that everybody's on the same page. All right. I love the communication. This is what makes defenses great. So he already explained it to everybody. So Oubre knows when the back screen comes, all he has to do is switch. There's no need to fight over. He just needs to switch. That blows up that look right there. All right. And I like how slick Nick Nurse is, because Nick Nurse, and this is what a lot of good coaches do, they initiate the action before the player even has the ball. This buys them more time. They can get started in their sequence early. I love that. That's great coaching by Nick Nurse. Again, teams like the Clippers, and other teams that have extremely bad defensive tendencies will fall for a play like this and give up a wide open shot. All right, so Draymond Green communicated the screen already. So Oubre, for one, he doesn't need to be all up on Fred VanVleet. All right, all he has to do is stay in space and make the easy switch. That's all he's doing right there. So what does Oubre do? VanVleet sets the back screen. Oubre switches. That's a clean switch. That aspect of the play is blown up. All right, now we have OG Anunoby. Since Draymond Green has already blown up one aspect of this play, all right, it makes it difficult for OG Anunoby to even fulfill what he needs to do in this play, which is to screen, would have normally been to screen Kelly Oubre. But Oubre didn't, because of the communication of Draymond Green, Oubre didn't go for the initial screen. All right. So Draymond Green is now yelling at Looney right now to switch. He's yelling at Looney right now to switch. So VanVleet then cuts off OG to the corner as Draymond stays with OG. So OG Anunoby's well guarded. Fred VanVleet is smothered by Kevin Looney. All right. We have Bazemore on the ball. All right. And now that Lowry has the ball inbounds, right? So all options are blown up. And I look at Kelly Oubre's spacing. Kelly Oubre's not hugged up over here on Norman Powell. He's playing in space because he knows if you throw that skip pass, I can either go get it out the air because of my length and athleticism, or I can make a good and well-timed closeout and can blow that play up. So Lowry, as this time is ticking, because Lowry has to make a decision. As this time is ticking, he has to get the ball in bounds. So all offensive options on this side of the court are completely dead. No Fred VanVleet, no OG Anunoby, no Norman Powell. What is Lowry forced to do? He's forced to kick it to Pascal Siakam beyond the half-court line, which is what the Golden State Warriors are willing to allow, because now you have to burn time bringing the ball up the court. All right, and you made the Raptors use the final read. He went through all his reads. Every read was dead because Draymond Green communicated to everybody on the court what was going to happen. And now everybody's in perfect defensive position. Everyone is well guarded. And now Pascal Siakam has to take a closely guarded, tough shot at the end of the buzzer to hopefully win this game. And we all know how it plans out. And Wiggins, this game, it wasn't just this play right here, but Wiggins had a great defensive game, being able to stay vertical when some of these guards drive to the paint, not fouling. Wiggins played great defensively, and then he capped it off with a great defensive stop. Slides his feet, all right, doesn't foul, doesn't get out of position, stays in his stance, good move, stays with him, doesn't go for any of these spins, contested. He misses the shot at the buzzer. And there you have it right there. I mean, this doesn't surprise me. After watching that footage right there, it doesn't surprise me why Draymond Green said some of the things that he said, in his press conference. I'm also going to take you guys to his press conference as well. I know, if you guys don't know, the other day, Draymond Green did a press conference, and a reporter was asking him questions about the credit he gets as a defensive general for the Golden State Warriors. All right. And I've been a big advocate of Draymond Green over the past couple of years. I've taken a lot of heat for it as well. But I'm still going to stand firm on my stance of how great of a defensive player he is. I'm never going to budge off that. All right. And I'm going to look at his stat line, and I'm going to say the value in this player right here is never going to be found in his stat line. You have to be able to watch the game, and you watch plays like what I just showed you. Plays like what I just showed you are invaluable. Because if the Los Angeles Clippers had a guy like Draymond Green communicating to defenders like Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, and Pat Beverly what to do on defense, do you know how elite the Clippers could be on defense if they had somebody like Draymond Green just communicating? But let's go ahead and we're going to get to this. We're going to get to this other segment because I really want to show you guys this another segment of Draymond Green speaking to the press about defense, all right, and the lack of knowledge that a lot of people online who profess to be basketball aficionados, they will, that they think they have. Let's just go ahead and get to this video, all right, and then we'll come back to me to end it.
Draymond, I'm processing your answer about how good defensive principles can buy time for everything else to come along. And I was wondering, do you wish defense was seen like in a sexier way? That like being in good position or just staying vertical, that's just as important potentially as hitting a splashy three, but it's the three that ends up on a highlight reel.
Well, that would require people to know the game of basketball, and most people don't. And so, wishful thinking. But most people will never learn the game of basketball. So, I mean, they think they know, but yet don't have a clue. So, it is what it is. I enjoy being one of the not so many people that actually know the game and being in that rare category of people who really know what's going on in the game of basketball as opposed to watching and think they can dissect it because they realize who hit a shot. It's fine.
Draymond, I wanted to go back to what you said about people not really knowing or understanding the game of basketball. How would you go about teaching them?
Well, first off, in order to learn, you have to understand what you don't know. And most people don't understand that they don't know shit, and so they're just fucked. And that's just what it'll be. It's like a drug addict. The first step to rehab is admitting that you're a drug addict. And so when you have all these internet sensations thinking they know the game of basketball, they would then have to admit that they don't know basketball. And no one's going to do that. So, yeah, they're pretty much just fucked.
See, and there we have it. It's short and simple right there by Draymond Green. Some very profound words. And this is one of the things. This is why sports debating is so intense. This is why these debates get so intensive sometimes. All right. This is why, because a lot of people don't want to move off their stance, right or wrong. I mean, you can bring someone multiple sources. You can show them, look, this coach says this. This basketball expert says this player says that, and they will still stand on their stance whether they're right or wrong about any particular player. You will really have people out there that say Draymond Green is not a Hall of Famer. They'll say that he's a bum. They'll say that he's Mr. Triple Single. I mean, they'll say all of these things about Draymond Green, which is completely funny. And the man's a 3-time champion. He's Defensive Player of the Year. All right, he's been first team All Defense multiple times, made the All-Star game multiple times, made the All NBA team multiple times, and you will still have people out there saying that this man is a bum because he doesn't score the points per game that they want to see him score. They think he should be the type of guy that scores 20 a game. All right. They say that his defense is overrated. You know, I would be one to say that players like Paul George and Kawhi Leonard's defense is overrated. Because when shit hits the fan and shit gets tough, we saw how those teams folded because they don't even know how to communicate on defense. None of those guys are willing to sacrifice their scoring to say, you know what, I'm going to do what's ugly in the game of basketball. I'm going to do what you don't get credit for on the stat sheet. I'm going to be the one to lock up defensively, right? And I'll allow other guys, I'll defer to you other guys to handle all the scoring. Right? I'm going to be the one yelling, you know, calling out assignments on defense. I'm going to be the one to stay after practice and teach the young guys. I mean, this complete Golden State Warrior team has made a 180 degree turnaround ever since Draymond Green came back from injury, and especially on the defensive end. Wiseman looks like a completely different player. It looks like his growth is exponential now. All right, if you look at some of the passes that this man makes, like this pass game against Toronto Raptors, look at the lobs to Wiseman. Look at the lobs to Wiggins. All right, how many power forwards in this league can make those passes or even make those reads? All right, so when you're that person, if you're that fan that's running around saying that Draymond Green's a bum and you hate him because of his antics, all right, that's when I gotta say FYF. You know, I gotta say fuck your feelings, because now you in your feelings about stuff that's not even basketball related. All right, a lot of people get emotionally involved in this Draymond Green thing because the players that they like, the guys that like to score, don't do so well when they're playing a guy like Draymond Green. All right, he gives you those antics. He gets in your face. He riles you up. He antagonizes you. On top of the fact that at an elite level, he's also going to defend you. And on an elite level, he's not just going to defend you individually, but he's also going to galvanize the team around him to defend you at an elite level as well. So it wasn't no surprise at the end that in-game situation, Andrew Wiggins wouldn't even be in the position to get that stop if Draymond Green does not single-handedly blow up that ATO side out of bounds play that was set up by Nick Nurse. And we're talking about Nick Nurse, easily one of the top 5 coaches in the NBA. But if you watch film, everybody, regardless of how great you are, you will have tendencies. And he just drew up a play that Draymond Green had already seen. And Draymond Green did a great job of communicating with all 4 players on the court, calling out every switch, multiple switches at that, and everybody executed beautifully. They win the game because of it. All right, this is what makes the game of basketball so beautiful here, y'all. This is why I call it NBA film study, because here at NBA Film Study, we can accurately and honestly assess what players do on the court, whether it's defensive or offensive. We are not going to just give credit to players like Trae Young, Devin Booker, Damian Lillard, CJ McCollum. We're just not going to give credit to those guys who score the ball in the elite level. But I think it's time we give credit to those in the NBA who defend and do other things like pass and play make at an elite level. All right, that's how you break down the game of basketball. When you start breaking it down from that level, then you'll have a much bigger respect for what these players do on a night in and night out basis. On top of the fact that when you go into these debates, you'll just be much more well versed. All right, and you can't let people just say anything to you. You know, I hope that after this video, you guys don't just take my word for it. Why don't you just go pull up video on Draymond Green and really see why they were so elite those championship years. I really want you to watch the games that they've won this year and why they've been able to win those games. All right, because Steph Curry can do all the scoring that he wants, but if they're not getting stops, you're going to lose games. The Washington Wizards showed us that. The Washington Wizards have easily scored over 110 points every game, 120 and 130 sometimes. But they struggled to get their first win. They were 0-5 before they got their first win. Because nobody is on that team is willing to defend at an elite level. You got teams like the Sixers and everybody dropping 130 and 120 on them, just outscoring them. You can have all the offense in the world if you don't get stops, it means nothing. All right, that's all we got for it. That's all we got today. Hey, NBA film study, like I said, we wanted to keep it short and simple today. Didn't really want to break down a full video because I think just that one single clip was enough to show you guys, why this Golden State Warrior team is elite and will be even more elite by the time the playoffs come. I'm telling you right now, if I'm in the playoffs, I don't want to see the other team on the other side of the court have a Steph Curry and a Draymond Green. I don't care if they're a 7 seed. If they're a 7 seed, I don't want to be that 2 seed. I don't want to be that 2 seed, and I got to deal with Steph Curry and Draymond Green, two guys who won 3 championships. Now I got to see that. I got to deal with that in a 7-game series, along with Steve Kerr, guys like Kevin Looney. And on top of the fact that look at all the length that they have. See, the best thing about the Golden State Warriors is they have all of the tools to be great. They just need that director. The great thing is they got a guy like Steph, who's not an elite offensive player who can score the ball, but he's a willing passer, able to help guys get better on the offensive end. On the defensive end, with the length that they have, with Damian Lee, Kelly Oubre, Andrew Wiggins, James Wiseman, they got elite size. And now Draymond Green has these guys playing elite level defense. It's a recipe. This is a recipe for the disasters for the league. So although we saw Klay Thompson go down in injury, what I think is, I think the league is in trouble because if they can keep this team together and Klay Thompson can come back to this team with the addition of Kelly Oubre, and this is not even looking at the fact that they still have a trade exception that they can use. If they're really looking to make a serious push, I think they're waiting to use that trade exception to kind of really see how this team is going to compete. If we get to the All-Star break and this team is 15 games above 500, they look like they're rolling. Look like they could really put themselves in a good seeding position to really beat some teams in the playoffs. I think they will look to use that exception, go a little bit deeper into the luxury tax, all right, to push for another title. I think they're willing to do that. That's the scary part about the Warriors. All right, that's the scary. So everybody, man, do your research, man. Do your research before you just start calling players bums. We had a guy in our live chat last week saying that LeBron James was a bum, but he couldn't explain anything with regards to actual basketball to really break down why LeBron was a bum. Let's be smarter than that. Let's not be that podcast. Let's not be that live chat that's just hating on players for no real reason. We FYF Sports. Forget your feelings. No emotions involved. We just got to be honest about what the film and what the results actually show. No feelings involved over here. Hey, but it's been another great podcast video, man. Appreciate you guys for jumping in today. Again, we're going to continue to come with these NBA film study videos, banging them out because, again, we here to teach. All right. And then, again, if we miss something, if you're already a student of the game, we miss something and you need to call us out. Our live panel is always open to everybody. When we go live, just hit the link, hop in the live panel, and we can go back and forth, chop it up. But like I said in my last video, this is not FYF Sports Agree. This is FYF Sports Debates. We debate, all right, but we do it on a more educated level. All right, we're not going to yell over you. We're not going to cuss you out. We're not going to talk about your mama. We're going to talk about it in an educated fashion. At the end of the day, it's still a debate, but we can walk away at the end of the day knowing, you know what? He has some good points. I had some good points. And we can come back tomorrow and see another day. No disrespect involved. Hey, but it's FYF Sports, man. It's been another great podcast episode. And
Ay, niggas can't tell me nothing. Me son not a nothing. Niggas ain't give me nothing. Try to say I'll be nothing. All I had to do was stay down and apply myself. Made it through the storm, through the ups and downs, all by myself. Niggas can't tell me nothing. Me something not a nothing. Niggas ain't give me nothing. Try to say I'll be nothing. All I had to do was stay down and apply myself. Made it through the storm, through the ups and downs, all by myself. Was fucked up, broke, with nowhere else to go. Trust the plug, I had hope. Find my line, watch the cash flow. Tug of war with no rope. Had me back and forth out the door. Used to be the last one, I was slow. Learned how to juggle the most. Know how to move the low, I'm a juggler. Got my hustle from the hustler. Stay down how I got my numbers up. Streets only remember if you number one. If you talking money, that's my language. I understand it like it's English. Rough patches, my girl had my back. That's why we both shining with these stacks. Try to pay me sideways all of a sudden.